I'll admit it, sometimes that pile of laundry just looks way more appealing than tackling my to-do list.
We've all been there.
Yeah, we all know procrastination is the thief of time, right?
It is.
But what if we could actually, understand that sneaky psychology behind it?
Mm.
So today, we are deep diving into The Procrastination Cure by Damon Zachariadis.
Great book.
Yeah, to not just, hack our productivity, but truly rewire how we approach, those pesky tasks we keep putting off.
I love how Zachariadis reframes this whole procrastination thing.
Yeah.
It's not about being lazy.
Right.
It's about this fascinating internal battle between your present self and your future self.
Okay, so explain that a little bit more for me.
Think of it this way.
Okay.
Your present self is all about instant gratification.
Hmm.
That dopamine hit from, finishing a Netflix series.
Yes.
Or scrolling through social media.
I think my present self is winning that battle way too often.
But seriously, though, how does this, present self versus future self idea actually play out in real life?
Yes.
Yeah. It's all about, competing desires.
Right. Okay.
Your future self knows that finishing that project will feel amazing in the long run.
Right.
But your present self is screaming Netflix is calling.
Yeah, it's like my brain is playing a long con on me,
It is.
using that instant gratification as bait.
It is.
So, okay, knowing that isn't really solving the problem.
Oh.
So how do we actually start tackling this?
Beyond just deleting all your streaming apps.
Yeah.
One technique that I know always kind of sparks debate is the eat the frog method.
Okay, I've heard of this one.
Have you?
Yeah. But honestly, sometimes my frog feels more like a fire-breathing dragon.
It can.
How do we actually make ourselves do it?
Is it just about willpower?
Yeah.
It's actually more about hacking your brain chemistry.
Okay.
Think about it. You get that monster task done first thing in the morning,
Hmm.
releases a flood of dopamine.
Hmm.
Suddenly the rest of your day feels so much easier, lighter, and you ride that wave of accomplishment.
So it's like tricking my present self into doing the right thing by promising it a reward.
Exactly.
Clever. But what if the task is so huge
Yeah.
that even thinking about it makes me want to crawl back under the covers?
I get it. That's where the power of starting small comes in.
Okay.
Zachariadis calls this the 10 minutes technique.
Hmm.
And it's surprisingly effective.
Really?
You tell yourself, I'll only work on this for 10 minutes.
Okay.
But often, once you overcome that initial inertia,
Yeah.
you get into a flow and end up working way longer.
I get that it's once you push that boulder over the edge,
Yes.
it starts rolling on its own.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got some strategies to actually get started. But what about when our to-do list is a mile long?
It happens.
How do we even choose where to begin?
Zachariadis has a surprisingly simple rule here.
Okay.
Limit your daily to-do list to 7 tasks or fewer.
Seriously, 7?
And it seems counterintuitive, right?
Yeah, feel like I have at least double that before I even finish my coffee.
But here's the thing.
Okay.
A shorter list forces you to prioritize ruthlessly.
Yeah.
It's about quality, not quantity.
Yeah.
You're choosing the tasks that truly move the needle.
Okay.
The ones that align with your short-term, medium-term, and long-term goals.
So instead of just reacting to whatever, screams loudest,
Right.
I'm strategically choosing what actually matters.
That's the idea.
It's like being the CEO of my own to-do list.
You got it.
I love that.
And here's where it gets even more interesting.
Okay.
Write down those goals, even the big long-term ones.
Bye.
Then look at your to-do list and ask yourself,
Yeah.
how does each task contribute to those goals?
Right.
Suddenly, even small tasks feel meaningful because they're steps towards something bigger.
I love that it's giving every task a purpose.
Exactly.
But, okay, let's be honest. Even with a shorter list, distractions are a real problem.
They are.
I'm a master of multitasking, or at least I thought I was.
Zachariadis is pretty clear on this one.
Okay.
Multitasking is actually a myth.
Really?
What we're really doing is task switching,
Oh.
which divides our focus and makes us less efficient.
Oh, okay.
So he's a big advocate for single tasking.
So close those extra tabs,
Yes.
silence notifications,
Yes.
dedicate your full attention to one task at a time.
Exactly.
Oh, that's a hard truth, but I know he's right.
He is.
Speaking of focus, how do we deal with those mammoth tasks that take hours, even days to complete?
Right.
I tend to just avoid those altogether.
That's where Parkinson's law comes into play.
Okay.
Ever notice how you can stretch out a task to fill whatever time you give it?
Oh, tell me about it.
It's like work magically expands to fit the container.
Yeah, I'm the queen of turning a simple email into an hour-long ordeal.
We've all been there.
But how do we actually break that cycle?
Zachariadis suggests using a timer to break down large tasks into manageable chunks.
Yeah. Okay.
Say 45 minutes of focused work, followed by a 15-minute break.
Okay.
This keeps things from feeling overwhelming.
Right. And it prevents burnout.
So instead of staring at this, massive project and feeling paralyzed, I'm breaking it down into sprints.
Exactly.
Okay, that's actually doable.
It is.
I'm starting to see how all these strategies connect. It's not just about individual tips.
No.
It's about creating this whole system for tackling procrastination.
It is.
But there's one thing we haven't talked about yet.
Okay.
Our environment. I mean, how much can that really affect our productivity?
This is where it gets really fascinating.
Now, I'm intrigued. Okay, we'll pick it up right after this. Don't go anywhere, listeners. We're just getting started. Okay, we're back and ready to tackle the impact of our environment on procrastination. I have to admit, I'm a bit skeptical.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
Can a messy desk really sabotage my entire day?
Well, it's not just about having a clean desk,
Right.
although that can definitely help.
Right.
It's about minimizing distractions.
Okay.
And those come in all shapes and sizes, especially the digital ones.
Oh, think about it. How many times do you get sucked into that social media vortex
Oh, all the time.
or end up down a rabbit hole of online articles?
It's like my phone has a mind of its own,
It does.
constantly pulling me away from what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
But I thought I was good at multitasking.
Zacharias cites a study that found a whopping 47% of our online time
Wow.
is spent procrastinating.
That's terrifying.
That means almost half the time we're online, we're not actually doing what we intended to do.
Wow. So what's the solution?
Do you need to go off the grid and live in a tech-free cabin in the woods?
Maybe.
Not necessarily. While a digital detox can be helpful.
Okay.
Zacharias offers some more practical strategies for managing our digital distractions. It's about setting boundaries and being proactive.
Okay.
He suggests things like putting your phone on airplane mode,
Okay.
using website blockers, or even delaying online research until absolutely necessary.
Okay, I can see how that would help.
Yeah.
But what about those physical distractions?
My partner always wants to chat when I'm trying to focus, and my dog keeps bringing me his squeaky toys.
Zacharias emphasizes the importance of having a dedicated workspace, a sanctuary where you can minimize those external interruptions. It doesn't have to be fancy.
Right.
Just the space that signals to your brain it's time to focus.
So I need to train my partner and my dog to respect my workspace boundaries.
Maybe?
Challenge accepted.
Yeah.
But seriously, what about those times when the problem isn't distractions,
Okay.
but the tasks themselves?
Right.
Some things on my list are just plain boring.
Zacharias has a surprising suggestion for that.
Okay.
He says we need to do less to achieve more.
Wait, I thought the whole point was to get more done.
He challenges the assumption that we must do everything on our to-do list.
Okay.
He encourages us to get ruthless and eliminate unnecessary tasks.
Okay.
Those things that don't actually contribute to our goals.
Okay.
And for those unavoidable but boring tasks.
He suggests delegation if possible.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So it's about being more selective and strategic.
It is.
With our time and energy. Not just blindly checking things off a list.
Oh.
But what about those boring tasks that we can't escape?
Right.
Is there any way to make them less dreadful?
Zacharias suggests injecting a bit of fun into the equation. He calls it gamifying your tasks.
Okay.
For example, set a timer and see how much you can accomplish in a certain time frame,
Okay.
or create a point system for completing different tasks. It's about tapping into our natural desire for competition and rewards.
I love that it's tricking my brain into enjoying something that normally feels like a chore. Okay, so we've covered strategies for managing our time, our environment, even our tasks. But what about the internal stuff?
Yeah.
The self-doubt, the guilt, the feeling like I'm just not good enough?
Right.
That's a huge part of my procrastination struggle.
That's where Zacharias reframes procrastination.
Okay.
In a really empowering way.
Okay.
He emphasizes that it's not a character flaw. It's a common human tendency.
Okay.
We all do it.
Right.
And it doesn't mean we're lazy or incapable.
That's such a relief to hear.
But how do we actually break out of that negative self-talk cycle?
Yeah.
He introduces a powerful tool,
Okay.
accountability.
Okay.
Sharing our goals with others makes us more likely to achieve them. It could be as simple as telling a friend about your project,
Right.
or finding an accountability partner who checks in on your progress.
I've definitely noticed that when I have to report back to someone,
Yeah.
I'm way more likely to actually get things done. But what about those times when even accountability isn't enough?
Oh, okay.
When that voice in my head just keeps saying, you'll never finish this, you're a failure.
Zacharias emphasizes the importance of becoming our own cheerleaders. He provides some really practical steps for recognizing and reframing negative self-talk.
Okay.
For example, instead of saying, I'm so lazy,
Right.
try saying, I've been struggling to get started, but I'm committed to making progress today.
Okay.
It's about shifting from self-criticism to self-encouragement.
So it's not about ignoring those negative thoughts.
Right.
It's about actively challenging them.
Yes.
And replacing them with something more positive.
Exactly.
I like that. But let's be honest.
Mm.
Some days, even positive self-talk feels impossible.
Zacharias reminds us that we don't have to do this alone. Building a supportive network of friends, family, or even a therapist
Right.
can provide that extra boost when we're struggling.
Okay, I'm starting to see the bigger picture here.
Yeah.
It's not just about individual tips and tricks.
No.
It's about creating a whole ecosystem of support for ourselves, both internally and externally.
It is.
It's about understanding our own tendencies and setting ourselves up for success. But before we get too carried away with all this self-improvement, Zacharias has one final strategy.
Okay.
That sounds surprisingly fun.
He calls it temptation bundling.
Okay, I'm definitely intrigued. Tell me more. Spill the beans.
Yeah.
What is this temptation bundling all about?
It sounds way more enjoyable than the usual procrastination busting advice.
Right? It does.
It's a clever way to leverage your present self's desire for immediate gratification to help your future self achieve those bigger goals.
Okay.
So imagine only allowing yourself to watch your favorite show
Okay.
after you finish that workout you've been putting off.
Oh, I see. So it's like bribing my present self with something I actually want to do,
Yes.
but only after I've tackled the less fun stuff.
Exactly.
That's genius. It takes the sting out of those dreaded tasks.
It does.
What are some other examples?
You could listen to a captivating audiobook or podcast only while you're doing those tedious household chores.
Okay.
Or treat yourself to a delicious latte after you finally decluttered that mountain of paperwork.
Oh.
Possibilities are endless.
Yeah.
It's about finding what motivates you.
This whole concept is blowing my mind.
It is pretty cool.
It's like turning those things we dread into rewards for accomplishing the things we've been avoiding.
Exactly.
I can already feel my present self and future self high-fiving.
Nice.
But beyond this brilliant temptation bundling tactic, what's the biggest takeaway you think listeners should walk away with from this deep dive into the procrastination cure?
Well, what Zacharias does so well is empower us to understand the psychology behind procrastination.
Right.
It's not about beating ourselves up for our human tendencies. It's about finding the strategies and systems that work for us.
Okay.
It's about progress, not perfection.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's not about becoming some kind of productivity robot.
Yeah.
It's about creating a more fulfilling and intentional life.
Exactly.
And realizing that even small changes can have a huge ripple effect.
They can.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I'd like to leave our listener with a challenge.
Okay.
What's one small change inspired by today's conversation that you're willing to commit to?
Maybe it's setting a timer for focused work. Identifying your frog and tackling it first thing.
Right.
Or creating a dedicated workspace free from distractions.
Right.
Whatever resonates with you.
Yeah.
Take that first step. You might be surprised by the transformative power of those small, consistent actions.
That's a fantastic challenge. Remember, dear listener, procrastination is a habit.
It is.
And habits can be changed. It takes effort and consistency, but the rewards are truly worth it.
They are.
Imagine feeling less stressed, more accomplished, and finally achieving those goals you've been dreaming of. So go forth and conquer you, amazing human. Until next time, happy deep diving.